For the inventory setup, we have an overload. It can be replaced by a whole overload by combining the two instead of using a prayer renewal. 2 restore potions and 6 brews will do for this kill. We also have an adrenaline potion, in this case a replenishment potion. This is highly recommended. If you don't have access to replenishment potions, using an adrenaline potion is enough. It can be made using a super energy potion together with the papaya fruit. Besides that, we have a phoenix necklet. This will be useful when we're using onslaught at last phase of the kill. I'll also be showing an alternate method where you do not use onslaught for P4. We have 2 rings. For the sake of this video, I'll not be using Ring of Death, but use the best ring available that you have for killing it. A Silent Surgeon ring would be the optimal choice. Ring of Vigor switch for when we're using ultimates. A Dark Bow which acts as a shield. It also has the mobile perk on it for lower cooldown on search. And an Enhanced Excalibur which we use when we're using Onslaught. If you do not have access to the Enhanced Excalibur, it doesn't make a difference. It's great to have. Fill up the rest of the inventory with food. For the gear setup, use the best melee gear that you have available. For the pure testing purposes, I'll be using bandos and a scythe. Use any amulet that you have that give any bonuses to melee combat. Highly recommended Amulet of Souls, but use the best you have available. Use the best accuracy aura that you have available for melee. And a Vampirism Scrimshaw. Vampirism Scrimshaw is highly recommended, as it allows you to almost use no food during your kills. The ability bars shown can be used for Revolution. Furthermore, it's highly recommended you have access to each of the abilities shown below, and to have a hotkey set up for each of them. At the start of the kill, make sure that you prepare yourself by taking a sip of your overload, prayer renewal, activate your scrimshaw, and prayers. Don't be like me and put your quick prayers on the wrong. When the fight starts, make sure to immediately start burning the web and initiate combat with Araxxor. I recommend that you relatively early start off by activating Anticipation, since Araxxor can start off with a very early ability. Else just let Revo do your work and begin the fight. One of the bad things about using a scythe or another two-handed halberd type weapon is that it would automatically try to put you in close combat with the opponent, so you will need to manually step back in order to not get meleeed. You will have to get used to this, but once you get it down, it's very easy to repeat. Fight off Araxxor and build up till 100% adren. When you get that, activate Berserk and take a sip of your adrenaline potion. Build up to about 65% adrenaline and use Assault. Afterwards, use Hurricane. At this point here, you'll probably have either made Araxxor very low, or made her so that she's ready to face for the next one. If you got any time left before the web is finished burning down, just gain more adrenaline. When the web burns down, search into the next phase. You can see there's a big round spot on top of the ramp. Go till about the top of that one. If she doesn't do an ability immediately when she enters, it will make it so that she'll start about at this point here and get into the asset group. As you can see, I forgot to click away from her, so I managed to auto-attack her a few extra times into the web. This is crucial to not do at later enrages. If it is not a web that she does at the beginning, I would recommend you to not do any damage over time abilities. But if it is a web, like in the case of this kill here, immediately activate your blood tendrils or your slaughter, activate assault afterwards. Use all the thresholds that you have available, and continue the fight. When Araxxor hits about 65% acid, this is where you drag up top of the ramp. I was very unlucky that she started to do her web in this case here. Else, I would have dragged her to the middle of the ramp. If you go to the top of the ramp and then one step down, you'll make it so that in case that she drags you in for the cleave, you can still go one step back and not get damaged, even though that you haven't done Anticipation of Freedom. Else, just keep on damaging. If you dragged her up at about 65%, if you watch the acid meter and about 35% acid, at this point here, if you activate Natural Instinct, you can start gaining adrenaline. This kill here, I did it a bit too late, but else the idea is that you will get adrenaline, so you can immediately at the beginning of phase 3 activate Berserk, build up to 65% adrenaline like in the first phase, and then do Assault on Hurricane one more time for massive damage. This means that you can practically skip all of the abilities that would normally happen during P3. Ignore all of the acid spiders that she spawns, since that's not the point of this. Again, every time that a web comes and I have any damage over time built on her, immediately switch to your shield if you can handle it, and use Resonance. In this case, you will at least heal off one of the damage ticks. In this case here, I tried to make it so I wouldn't use food. As you could see, this is the first time during the entire fight that I use food. That's one of the very important parts as to why you want Vampirism Aura. Scrimshaw, because it helps out the fight greatly. Immediately when you get to P4, make sure that you have relatively full HP, full prayer points, and Adrenaline Stall so you don't lose any adrenaline while she changes to her next phase. Start attacking her. At the beginning of the phase, I'd recommend you to use Quake, since if you've done very high amounts of damage quickly in the phase, Berserk will not be off cooldown yet. When you get 100% adrenaline, the Berserk comes off cooldown, simply Berserk. Continue to deal a lot of damage to her, but do not use any threshold abilities at this point here. If you have an Excalibur, I recommend you to activate it. When the Araxxor starts to get enraged, this is where you want to make sure you're very close to full adrenaline. At about 38 to 35k HP, activate Onslaught. If you get very low HP, I'd highly recommend you equip your Phoenix necklace, as this will heal you in case that you are close to dying. This way you can skip almost all the mechanics in regards to the core.